Hello, Yorcians! I'm Nikhil Bravestone and welcome to this episode of Remnants of a Realm. Last week we revisited West Shroud and all the locations and points of interest that area could offer, like Lichenweed, yes, I now know how that is pronounced, and the Oath tree, not oak, oath. Still just a dead tree though. Okay. In the past episodes, we've focused heavily on Thanalan, Lenosha, and Black Shroud, so I think we'll give them a quick break for now. In today's episode, we're starting off in the very inhospitable region of Mor Dhona and Camp Brittlebark. This was a camp situated at the very southern part of Mor Dhona, close to Mor Dhona's connection to Thanalan. And before we really get into the immediate area, we have to talk about Mor Dhona itself. In 1.0, Mor Dhona was shaped like a donut. The whole area was circular, with Silvertear Lake and Midgard's armor in the middle. The area also had a very dark overworld theme with a very strong sci-fi vibe. Just listen to this. Although the theme is no longer used as a conventional overworld theme for Mor Dhona, you can still hear it in the Palace of the Dead. And while we're on the subject of music, the battle theme for Mor Dhona was this theme, which I'm sure you already know from A Realm Reborn, now used as a more generic battle theme. But what you probably didn't know is that this theme used to be longer than what it is in A Realm Reborn. When it reaches the point where it usually loops in A Realm Reborn, it actually carried on a little longer. Listen to this. What a strange zone this was. Mor Dhona was also spread out over several different elevations, causing endless grief for adventurers that didn't study their maps close enough. There was also this annoying bullshit gap on the map that suggested a dead end. In literally all other maps in 1.0, when a path ends like this, it means that it actually ends, right? Makes sense. Mor Dhona tossed that out of the window because why not? That's fun. The zone was also very famous for its crystal mist that would randomly occur all over the zone, turning it into a very pretty pinkish glittery place. This weather was referred to as miasma, and made it hard to see if it was night or day, caused by the disturbed state of ether in the region. Anyways, back to Camp Brittlebark. The camp itself was a carbon copy of Camp Revenant's Toll, down to the placement of the Mender and Merchant. Despite its proximity to Thanalan, it was actually manned by Ishgardians. Most of the area around Brittlebark was dead and very little would grow there. Some trees grew in clusters, but other than that, you'd only find the sad remnants of pre-Battle of Silvertear Skies Mor Dhona. But Brittlebark would hide one of its most impressive caves in the game. A cave hidden northwest of Brittlebark, initially referred to as the Tomb of Xande. The cave itself remained a mystery for a long time. The cave contained these crystal stalagmites, with a larger crystal in the middle sticking out of the ground. It is important to note here that the Thaliac symbol and discoloration of the middle crystal only appeared later. This is literally the only footage I have which was taken after. We'll get to that. Anyways, through quest text and certain NPCs, this was said to be the tomb of Emperor Xande of the ancient Allegan Empire from several thousand years ago. It was unknown how the name of the place had survived or how exactly to get into the tomb, as there was no sign of a coffin. It was speculated that these crystals formed some sort of teleport device that once activated would transport you to the actual tomb. A popular theory at the time was that this was a planned raid. However, after 14's decline began, the cave was changed. The name Tomb of Xande was scrubbed from the game and it was instead referred to as Crystal Shrine. The mobs, which used to be level 80 plus Smolenkos and Ahrimans, got reduced significantly, the Smolenkos being completely removed. The middle crystal got discolored and the symbol of Thaliak was imprinted on it, serving as a key point in the 7th Umbral storyline. The Xande connection completely retconned and never mentioned again. Brittlebark had 2 ethereal gates, Jagged Crest Cave to the west and Singing Shards to the east. Singing Shards was located on the other side of the map and was basically just a place split into 2 different elevations, though because the ethereal gate was located on the top part, only that was considered part of the Singing Shards. I wish there was more to say about this one, but there isn't. Except for this magnificent view, of course. Jagged Crest Cave was a special ethereal gate as it actually served as the Eorzean Alliance secret base in Mor Dhona. When the Garleans invaded Mor Dhona, Eorzea was unprepared and had no chance to retaliate. The cave was discovered close to an Imperial Castrum and thus would serve as the Alliance's most strategic camp in the region. And what was this Imperial Castrum? None other than Castrum Novum. This castrum was located to the west of Mor Dhona and completely cut the north and south part of Mor Dhona's west side, making it impossible to traverse to Camp Brittlebark from Revenant's Toll from that side. This castrum was built with one purpose in mind, to complete the Meteor project and facilitate the fall of Dalamud, for which purpose it housed the Lunar Transmitter Tower. Castrum Novum was a free dungeon and was meant for parties of 8 at level 50, but because this was a free dungeon, there was no attempt to enforce this limit, so anyone could enter regardless of party size and level. This dungeon was included in the Grand Company quest United We Stand, where the goal was to infiltrate Castrum Novum and destroy the Lunar Transmitter. Within the castrum, there were 4 gates that would open and close at certain intervals. There was no way to open these gates manually, you had to wait for them to open, from a safe place, as the castrum was filled with challenging mobs. When the blue searchlights came on, a gate would open. The really strange thing about this was that the mobs would also run on a schedule, which meant that every now and then, the mobs would despawn, even while you were fighting them. The Lunar Transmitter Tower housed the device that communicated with Dalamud, sending it copious amounts of ether in an attempt to bring it down on Eorzea. Once the castrum was breached, the tower was located deep inside, beyond the 4th gate. Then this ensued. And now for a fight which I remember primarily because of this banging battle theme. As the sun, or the moon, sets on the 6th astral era and Dalamud made its descent, all the creatures in and around Brittlebark, most likely sensing danger, fled from the area and into Thanlon and Kurthus. It was a wise thing to do, as Brittlebark happened to be dangerously close to ground zero for Dalamud's crash site. Because of its proximity to the crash site, Brittlebark was completely destroyed, or so it is assumed. Today, the entire Brittlebark area is inaccessible. Mor Dhona is no longer donut-shaped, it's more of a croissant shape. Castrum Novum was badly damaged in the Calamity and was initially abandoned, only to be reoccupied by Garlemald's 14th Imperial Legion, rebuilding it and renaming it Castrum Sentry. Now, while Castrum Sentry's location is more or less correct, that's where the similarities ends. Singing Shards, which used to be part of Brittlebark's area in the southeast, is now located to the northeast, close to Camp Revenant's Toll. And as you've probably gathered, because Mor Dhona is a croissant now, only the northern part is accessible. Passing through Castrum Sentry only leads you to the zone divider that brings you to Thanlon. Looking past the zone divider clearly shows the rest of Mor Dhona, with no real visible damage to the land. I had a hard time finding any information on what actually happened here, but it seems it was just decided to not include the southern part of Mor Dhona. Also, a small side note related to the retconned Xande's tomb, I can't help but notice that entry to Crystal Tower was possible through this teleport device. Looks very similar to how the crystal formations were shaped in Xande's tomb, no? Oh boy, look at the time. We've reached the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe for more. And do let me know in the comments what you think about the stuff I covered in this episode. I'm very interested to hear what you think about Xande's tomb, Mor Dhona 1.0 and everything that went down there. I know a lot of people wanted me to cover Cartano Flats, but Cartano Flats is a bit of a different story, so I'm going to take that one in an upcoming episode where I'm going to focus more on what happened during the actual Dalamud event. So look forward to that. I'll be back next week with another episode of Remnants of a Realm. Until then, may you ever walk in the light of the crystal.